What's going on, everyone? Today we have the 2019 Nissan Altima. Nissan wanted to give us more excitement in the mid-size sedan segment. They've got all new styling, new interior, new power plants, and the first all-wheel drive for Nissan in the US. I'm going to give you a full detailed review of the exterior, interior, and we're going to go for a test drive. Let's get started. Starting on the exterior, let me give you a quick runaround of the features of this Altima. The 2019 builds on over 2 decades. It's lower, it's longer, it's wider. We have the S, SR, SV, SL, and Platinum trim. And right here we have the SV trim, which is about right in the middle of the class. The S will start at $23,000, and the SV will be, this one price right here is just over $30,000. The first thing you'll notice with the Nissan is we have the larger, bolder V-motion grille. I think it looks nice. I think it's honestly at some times kind of reminds me of the Mazda 6. I might be the only one that thinks that, but let me know down below what you think. Standard for the base model will be automatic headlights and halogen headlights, but the SR and up will give you these LED headlights with the LED daytime running light. It's that check mark on the inside. Then incandescent turn signals down there, and then LED fog lights on the SV and up. At night, the headlights do a pretty good job. They are better than the Rogue that I had recently, if I remember correctly. And the lights look pretty nice. I like the LED signature daytime running light as well. You can really tell that this is lower, wider, and longer, like they say. So this paint color right here is the gun metallic paint. And Nissan was going for an aggressive but balanced stance. And I want to know what you guys think. I think this looks pretty nice. I think it's got some pretty nice lines to it without it being too polarizing. But one thing that I did notice is that there's a fairly decent gap right there, kind of like the recent Infiniti that we saw. And when I saw it from the side, I was looking, I was like, what the heck, is the hood open? But it's not. So something that, you know, I'd like to see that short up a little bit for quality. For the wheels, they're going to range from 16 to 19-inch wheels all the way up on the Platinum model. Our model, the SV and the SL, will give you these 17-inch wheels, 215/55 series tires. And I'm glad that we don't have the giant wheels on this trim right here. We get more rubber, but I'm not a big fan of these wheels. I'd love you guys to let me know down below what you think of them. Nissan gives us a smart key system, which I'll show you in a little bit. And we also get heated mirrors with LED turn signals. And they're going to be black on the SR trim with some other black accents as well. And as we come around the side, you can see more of the lines and the floating pillar or floating roofline design right there. Kind of like what we see in the Maxima. Let me know what y'all think of the design of this Altima here. In terms of length, if you're wondering just how long this Altima is, it's 193 inches, which is actually exactly the same as the Nissan Maxima. So the Maxima is not a larger sedan like a lot of people believe it is. This Altima is going to give us a full independent suspension, while the SR trim gives us a sport tuned suspension. And we have a body colored rear diffuser back here, dual exhaust tips on every model but the base, and they look nice. And as you can see, you've got the all-wheel drive model right there. No LED taillights right here, and the turn signal is also incandescent as well. Nissan has some pretty advanced safety technology. We have ProPilot Assist standard on the SV, SL, and Platinum trim. The base S will get automatic emergency braking, but that is it. Nissan has what's called Safety Shield 360 for basic protection around the vehicle, which is on every model except the base. So that's going to give us automatic emergency braking with pedestrian detection, lane departure warning, blind spot warning with rear cross traffic alert, including rear automatic braking, which is now new for this year, automatic high beams, and then also standard on the SV trim will be the intelligent radar cruise control, lane centering, and rear parking sonar. Now once you move to the trunk, we have a little touchpad right up under there, so you don't need to use the key fob or do it inside. And there's also a grab handle under here, not something you see in every car. But behind here will be 15.4 cubic feet. You've got a pretty large opening, which is actually really nice. You know, I opened this up and I was surprised at just how wide this actually is right here. And it's pretty, well, how tall that is and how wide it is. It's got a really nice big opening to fit some large stuff. Even though it's not class leading numbers, it seems to be like a pretty practical area. And it goes back pretty far. You can pull the levers on each side to put the seats down. So you've got a pretty nice wide open area. One complaint though is that we have these exposed hinged, and I don't really care if they're exposed as long as they're not impeding on stuff. But I'd rather them have their own track so it doesn't, you know, clamp down on some items when you don't even realize it. But overall, pretty nice usable cargo space. And there's a spare tire underneath and an insulation pad, so should help with sound. Now, starting even at the base model, every single model gets Nissan's intelligent key access, so it's a smart key system, and remote start. Can you believe that? Every single model gets remote start. You can pull a key out of here, and it's the typical same key fob. It feels like it's got some decent durability to it. It's slim and fits in your pocket, but the buttons are pretty small. So the way it works is you have to use this button for everything. It's locked right now. You push that button, it's unlocked. Then you push it to lock it. So I prefer the sensors behind here, but you have that button, or of course you can just do it on the key fob. And then one thing with remote start is the SV trim and up get the intelligent climate control. So when you start it up, it'll get the car cooled off or warmed up for you. Now once you get to the front seat of the Altima, like Nissan always does, you have your NASA inspired zero gravity seats, which have some nice shaping. They help reduce fatigue. They're just nice seats with their comfort. Standard on every trim is going to be an 8-way power driver's seat. The SV trim adds power lumbar support. I'm not positive if the S and SR trims give you manual lumbar support. If you know, please comment down below. The lower models are going to give you cloth seats. The SL trim and Platinum trim are going to give you the leather seats, but these cloth seats are pretty nice. I do like the material on them. They are really soft out around the edges of your legs, but the insert is kind of a more of a stickier material, so you don't slide around, and the shaping of them is pretty good. We have decent bolstering around the sides right here. The headrest is okay. It's not too aggressively far forward, and the shaping for your spine seems to be all right. My biggest complaint though is that the seat bottom cushion is pretty narrow. There's actually a lot of space between you and the door, so they definitely could have widened that out. And it's got some bolstering over here, and I've got fatter legs than I probably look, and I feel like I'm getting pinched and squeezed right here. Every SV trim and up will give you heated seats and a heated steering wheel. You can get heated seats on the SR trim as an option. And then if you want memory seats, you'd have to go up to the Platinum trim. But one thing to realize is there's no ventilated seats at all, like some of the competitors in this class. And of course, they don't want to step on the Maximus toes, but no ventilated seats if you want it. The passenger is 4-way adjustable across the board. The higher trims give you power adjustability, and these lower trims give you manual adjustability. And with this heated leather steering wheel, I love that the SV trim, a middle trim, gives you a heated steering wheel standard. It's actually a really nice feature in the wintertime. But you've got manual tilt and telescoping, and we seem to have a pretty good range of motion. I've had no trouble getting it where I want it. For 2019, Nissan went with an open, airy environment for this interior. They wanted it to be an uplifting interior with a gliding wing instrument panel, and that's pretty much exactly what it looks like. It's definitely a more simple but easy and functional layout. Let me give you a quick look at the interior. So starting over here on the door, this upper portion is nice and soft. You can see you've got this trim piece running across right into the door handle. This area right here is also soft, and it's got a nice soft armrest as well with some decent padding. A good grip right here. You can store your phone in there if you want to. The front windows are automatic. No memory settings on our particular model over here. Decent storage over here. My large tall bottle fits, and then a little storage area down below. Just to the inside, you'll find your lane centering button right here. You can open your trunk, adjust the brightness of the interior display, and reset your trip computer. Let's go ahead and shut the door. And it's a fairly solid door slam, not quite what I would expect for a brand new redesigned model. Then as we hop inside and take a look, we've got a leather wrapped steering wheel, we've got a tablet style dash, soft materials up on this dash right here, coming around down below. Up here is hard touch. If you don't care, who cares? But like I said, open airy design, that's what they were going for. They wanted it to be a simple but uplifting interior. To start it up, we've got our button right here, foot on the brake. Every Altima gets this advanced driver assist display, so this is all the way even down on the base model, and we've got the analog gauges on the side and then the big digital display in the middle. There's a pretty fair amount of information that you can see on here as well. As you can see, there's audio right there. You can control all of this with the buttons on the steering wheel. So we've got trip computer, you've got your tire pressure monitoring, And I'm not really a fan of how you have to scroll through all of this, and as far as I can tell, there's only one, you can have a trip A and trip B, but there's only one like fuel economy. So if you're a kind of a fuel economy nerd, you're only gonna have one section, but then you also have your speed, average speed, all your different settings that you can change right here. In vehicle settings, there's a fair amount of stuff you can change with your locks and your lighting, all that good stuff. And then right here, when you have your ProPilot Assist going, you can watch to see what the distance is it's keeping in front of you. You can see your lanes on the side to make sure that the system is on and working. So it shows you everything that you would need and mostly what you would want. Our heated leather steering wheel is comfortable to hold on to. It's not necessarily supple, but it does feel nice when it does get hot. You've got the flat bottom down here as well. A little bit sportier, give you a little bit more space for your knees. And then our buttons right here, we've got volume and seeking buttons for the radio, and then the controls for your information display. Then on the right, you can adjust the distance of your radar cruise control, cancel and resume that, all that. You can turn everything on right here, and then with your lane centering button on the other side of the steering wheel, you can have both of those going with your cruise control. Voice controls, your phone, so Bluetooth right here. Another thing standard is every single Altima, even on the base model, will have this 8-inch touchscreen, which does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto that works exactly as you would expect. Sirius XM, HD radio, Bluetooth, and a 6-speaker system that actually sounds pretty good. I've been impressed with this base 6-speaker system, but you can get a 9-speaker Bose system on the SL trim and up. Navigation on the SL trim and up as well, but if you have CarPlay or Android Auto, you can use your phone's navigation, of course. And then the Platinum model can give you an intelligent round view camera. Ours does not have that camera, but you can see around the vehicle like you've seen on some other systems. And this screen works okay. It's not quite as sensitive as I would expect, but I mean, the buttons work just fine. There's just not really any feedback, but there's quite a bit of things that you can do on here. It's just, you know, it's a fairly simple layout though. You've got the volume and tuning knob on the side. This honestly reminds me a lot of the Accord. Then you've got some physical buttons down below for shortcuts, things like that. So it's still very easy to use. Now shifting into reverse, you've got your backup camera, and it gives you dynamic guidance lines as well. One thing that I've found is that it's actually pointed down quite a bit, which you can't really tell right now because I'm kind of on a slope, but sometimes it almost cuts things off up there, which really isn't a big deal, but it gives you good clearance next to the bumper. Just down from the screen, we have our air vents, and then we have dual zone automatic climate control with 2-tier heated seat, 1-tier heated steering wheel for you and your passenger. And then the dual zone AC is on the SV trim and up. Regular climate or regular AC controls on the 2 lower models. But we have pretty solid buttons right here, honestly. They feel like they're put together pretty well. Of course, you and your passenger. Easy to use layout down here as well. Just below that, we've got a 12-volt power outlet. We have a USB Type-C and a regular USB and an auxiliary port. So you can be plugged in different ways. I personally would prefer just 2 regular USBs. However, you have a USB-C if you need it. Start button right here. Now, next to your knee, at least in our trim, this is hard plastic. My knee has found its way over here, and it's, you know, not as nice as some vehicles with some padding, but not a big deal. One thing that I've really noticed with this is the shifter actually feels pretty solid. It's just a satisfying shift in here. There's no manual controls or anything like that, but you can hit this and then it will put you in sport mode. So this is the sport mode button right there. Just behind that, we have the electronic parking brake and the automatic brake hold. Bottle holders are pretty decent size. My large wide bottle fits in here. I've had no trouble fitting stuff in here at all. This armrest is nice and soft. It looks nice. It's got a good feel to it. It's actually a little wider than I was expecting. My wife and I can keep our arms on here, no problem. When we open it up, it's a pretty decent sized storage bin. There's no plugs or no lights, but you can have that tray in the back or positioned in the front. Our model has a lighter colored headliner. It'd be nice to see a dark headliner with our dark seats. Our visors, the entire visor can slide. Plus, you've got the vanity light and mirror. One thing that I thought was interesting was how this whole lighting setup looks. I've got a buddy with a 2018 Altima, and he does not like the way that this looks. But you've got push buttons for regular incandescent bulbs up above, and then you've got your controls for your moonroof. And the moonroof is standard on the SV trim and up, and optional on the SR trim. And there's no panoramic option in here. You just get the regular moonroof, no panoramic on any trim. And then in terms of visibility, in these new cars, visibility is usually not that great, but decent visibility out of that window. The pillars are not too large, so it's really not too bad for a car. And then looking over your shoulder, there's a pretty good gap right there to be able to see a vehicle next to you. Now once you jump into the back seat of the 2019 Altima, we have a lot of leg space. There's a lot of knee space behind myself at 5'9" position where I would sit right here. No problems with that. It's a little bit tight for my feet under there, but I still have a pretty good amount with this. Another thing is I have enough headspace sitting up tall. I can feel just a tiny bit of my hair touching, but most of the time you probably won't have passengers over 6 foot tall in here. 6 foot tall and under might be okay. Someone 5'11", 5'10" might be bumping their head, so something to check out. Now we have the all-wheel drive, and I'm not sure the difference between the front-wheel drive and the all-wheel drive if we have a bigger tunnel, but there's a decent-sized tunnel right here, so it's going to be a little bit difficult for people to sit here. And then sitting here, this seat is much higher. I can't sit up tall without my head touching, so something to keep in mind with that as well. Now all the way over on the side here, this seat is all the way back in its furthest position, and I still have enough knee space to be comfortable. Foot space is okay as well. And of course, same headroom over here. This is a pretty decently wide back seat. It's fairly soft. It is nice and comfortable. You've got padded armrests as well. The only thing is that this upper door panel is not padded. We've got a center folding armrest with a couple of bottle holders right here as well. And then right in front of us, every SV trim and up from there will get AC vents for your backseat passengers. The two lowest trims do not. And then right below that, standard across every trim is a USB Type-C and regular USB port. Under the hood of the Altima for 2019 is where you get some really big changes in a couple of different ways. So you can now get all-wheel drive with this sedan, typically front-wheel drive, but now you have all-wheel drive available with the 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine for a $1,350 premium charge. This engine right here is the direct injected 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine, which a lot of you probably think would be the same as last year or similar. However, it's got 80% new or redesigned parts to push out 188 horsepower with 180 pound-feet of torque that comes out at 3,600 RPM. The next option is the 2-liter variable compression 4-cylinder turbocharged engine available on the SR and Platinum front-wheel drive. Now you can't get all-wheel drive with that 2-liter turbo, which surprised me, but they thought it would be a very niche market for that, so they decided not to mass produce that. That 2-liter turbo with premium fuel will put out 248 horsepower, 273 pound-feet of torque at 1,600 RPMs. Otherwise, you'll get 236 horsepower and 267 pound-feet of torque, and the compression ratio will range from 8:1 up to 14:1. Nissan still is going with their Xtronic CVT, but it is a little bit different this year. Nissan calls this their next generation Xtronic CVT with an expanded lockup area for improved efficiency. In terms of miles per gallon, most models with the front wheel drive and this 2.5 liter engine will get 28 miles per gallon in the city, 39 on the highway, and 32 combined. But as equipped, the one that we have right here with all-wheel drive, we'll drop that down to 26 city, 36 highway, 30 combined. And the variable compression turbo will get 25 in the city, 34 on the highway, and 29 combined. All right, everyone, we are off in the test drive of the 2019 Nissan Altima, and my first impression of this Altima is that it definitely sits a little lower, it feels a little wider, it has a more planted stance about it, and the interior, like I kind of went over, it's open and airy. So right off the bat, a lot of you are going to dismiss this car because of the CVT, and I'm going to try to test out the CVT a little bit. It's next generation according to Nissan, and it honestly feels a lot more like an automatic like a regular stepped gear transmission than a CVT. There's a little shift. Little shift. Sorry, that took a little while, but I haven't had that wind up effect that, I mean, there is sometimes, and right off the line, you definitely, you know, it takes a little bit for it to grab, but it seems to be a lot better than it has been, especially in that Nissan Rogue that I drove recently. Little acceleration run. And there were a couple shifts right there, so acceleration isn't too bad out of this 2.5. You've got more power, you've got more torque than you did previously. And once you get out on the open road, this is a smooth road, but it's a pretty smooth riding car. The ride comfort is good. It's got a good balance to it. The steering feel is a little bit numb, but it definitely feels planted to the road. And I can hug a corner pretty well. There's literally like no lean in this car. It's very well planted. It's very, I think the little bit of width that they added made a big difference. Let me go ahead and put it in sport mode. It automatically revved us up, pedal down, and it actually shifted. By my surprise, if you floor it, it's gonna keep the RPMs up, but the CVT feels a lot better than it used to, and it's still holding the RPMs in sport mode. Acceleration's not great. Obviously, it's not gonna throw you back in your seat. However, you can get a turbocharged engine with more power and torque if you want it. But overall, much improved driving dynamics. Even though it's not super soft, it soaks up a lot of stuff really well, and I'm assuming this is probably better than it would be in the higher trims with the 19-inch wheels. And another thing is, it's just a good balance. And I'm on a smoother road right now, so it is pretty quiet. There's not a whole lot of powertrain noise that comes in, even when you start it up. I got a buddy with a 2018, and you can't hear this as much as his vehicle. And hustling around this corner a little more. Not the best steering feedback. It handles well, but the steering feedback is not great. So that's something that I would like to see improved a little bit. But daily driving, it's perfectly fine. I've been comfortable driving this. I've enjoyed driving it. No problems whatsoever. Now, with the all-wheel drive, it is front-wheel drive biased, of course, but you can send up to 50% of the torque to the rear wheels. So let's get a little brake torque. There's the winding. There's the winding. So when you drive aggressively, if you ever actually do floor it, there's some of the winding. When you're just a good acceleration, you know, daily driving, you're gonna get that automatic stepped gear transmission feel, and you don't get that windy rubber bandy type feeling. But obviously no burning out there. Once you get any kind of slippage, you're gonna get those rear wheels to kick in. And kind of going back to the soft road, the wind noise in here is great. We have laminated glass right here. Didn't mean to roll that down, but laminated glass here in the front. So the wind noise is very good. I haven't really heard hardly any wind noise, and it's a windy day today. But the road noise does get in here. It's not bad. So if you're on a normal textured road, a road surface that's not necessarily rough, it's not bad at all. But once you get on a rougher surface, like the one I'm just getting on, you get a fair amount more road noise. And you can probably kind of hear that right now. Now let's go ahead and hit the brakes. The brakes grab pretty well. You feel balanced in the car. I haven't had to do any emergency maneuvers or anything, but in a few tests of hitting the brakes fairly hard, they grab well. They have a good feel to them. There's maybe a little bit of pedal play, but they grab well and they perform well. One thing that I've been impressed with and have enjoyed is the 6-speaker stereo system. So it's nothing special. It's just a 6-speaker system. It's not even the upgraded Bose 9-speaker system, but for a bass system, it's pretty nice. I thought it was pretty loud. It's got decent clarity, decent bass for that. But one thing about it, even though it's the lower system, we still had a few vibrations just from the bass, from the noise, which, you know, it's not bad in here, but otherwise, just driving, I've had no vibrations or anything like that at all. So, you know, NVH, noise vibration harshness, it's very well contained except for some of the road noise on rougher surfaces. So I'm gonna turn on the ProPilot Assist right here. You can use the steering wheel and the steering assist to the button to the left of the steering wheel. I don't have a car in front of me, but I've had no problems with the cruise control whatsoever. Keeping a good distance, being harsh and braking really hard if someone cuts in front of you. But if you want to see a descriptive video and kind of a demonstration of the ProPilot Assist and other features like that that some vehicles give you, let me know down below. I'll try to make a demonstration. And you just heard the beep. Now it's engaged. It sees the lanes. It's pretty much doing everything. You can kind of see the steering wheel move a little bit. And if you don't give it any feedback, then it will let you know. I mean, it's gonna tell you, grab the wheel. So it's going around this corner for me. It's going around the corner for me. Keep your hands on the wheel, folks. I'm just trying to show you how it works. But it is semi-autonomous and it works really well. So in conclusion, with the 2019 Altima, I think it's an improvement over last year. You've got an open cabin. You've got the tablet style, which some of you really don't like. Some of you like it. Let me know down below what you think. But the seats are kind of narrow on the seat cushion. Everything's good with the comfort except for that. Now, this car has not wowed me in any way. It's not a wowing car. It's not a shockingly great car. It's a good car. I still think that the Accord and the Mazda 6 are on another level than the Nissan. They offer a few more of the top end features, but on the middle trims, you really can't go wrong with a car like this. If you want some of the extra features and more sportiness, go for the Maxima. You still get a V6 in there. Hopefully I can get a review out for you guys soon. But let me know down below what you guys think. I have a review of all the some of the main competing cars like the Camry, the Accord, the Mazda 6. So please be sure to check those out down below. Thank y'all so much for watching. Hope you guys have a fantastic day, and we'll catch you next week.